Hello and welcome to LFC Focus. So Liverpool's fixtures for the 2018-19 Premier League season were announced this morning, and I think the general reaction has been, pretty good. It's an all right fixture list. I mean, I'm going to go through it sort of month by month, not game by game, that would be completely mental, but sort of go through the fixture list as a whole, the kind of journey that we're hoping Liverpool will go on through the season. But all in all, it looks like the kind of fixture list that sets you up quite nicely for, fingers crossed, a title challenge from Jurgen Klopp's Reds. So starting off with the first game of the season, West Ham United at home. It's not by any means the worst game we could possibly have. You only have to look at the one that Arsenal have got at home to Manchester City, the Premier League current champions. That's a pretty difficult fixture, and Liverpool, by comparison, have got a pretty decent one. I think it will be interesting to see how they get on with Manuel Pellegrini as their new manager as well. It adds a little bit of spice to the game. We don't really know how West Ham are going to play. Hopefully with a manager like that, they won't be parking the bus. They will be going for a nice attacking approach, which opens them up to get absolutely destroyed by Jurgen's Reds. And I mean, I'm quite happy with Crystal Palace second as well, because while Palace away is a horrible game, let's be honest, we all absolutely hate that tie. It's a horrible game and a horrible away to have to go and play, but I'm quite happy it's early on because you're getting it out the way. We don't want that to be hanging over us. We certainly don't want it to come in a more congested period like the December period, or like we had it last season where it was right slap bang in the middle of our Champions League charge. You want to get it out the way, so I'm fairly pleased with that. And in general, those early fixtures look like the kind of ones that Man United sort of get, and the ones that we kind of end up being jealous of, because they always get those easy fixtures early on. They start racking up the 4-0 wins. They all think that they've got the Premier League title in the bag within the first 2 months, and we're stuck there having already played Chelsea, Arsenal, Tottenham and Man United and Man City all early on, and we've ended up already falling away in any chance of a Premier League title challenge. So it does look like a fairly nice one in terms of getting a title challenge going early on, just bedding into the Premier League season and establishing ourselves as one of the very top sides. I think that one against Spurs away is obviously going to be very interesting, because it has been revealed this morning that will be Spurs' first game in their new stadium. I think that works in Liverpool's favour as well, because it's a little bit of pressure on Spurs as well. They'll feel like the pressure's on them to succeed in their first game in that brand new stadium, whereas there's nothing really there for Liverpool. They're just there to have a good time and play their footy. After that, like I said, you got Brighton and you got Leicester before that. Two fairly easy games, let's be honest. Then you got Southampton at home after that. Should be very much winnable. Then gets a little bit difficult because you've got Chelsea away and Manchester City at home. That is where things could start to get tough. And if I'm right in thinking, that Man City home game also comes straight after a Champions League group stage game as well. It is interesting to note, as has been mentioned a lot on Twitter this morning, that all of Liverpool's Champions League group stage ties will come after a Premier League away game. Now, as much as a few people are throwing their hands up at that, the flip side is all of our Champions League ties have a Premier League home game after them. So I think in terms of the recovery after those games, that kind of helps us a little bit. And you've got to remember that half the Champions League group stage games will be at home anyway. Of course, we'll know more about it once the group stage draw has been made, once we know who we're playing. It could be that we're playing Maribor before we play City. It could be that we've got Burnley away before we play Manchester City. That's one to find out later on. I think it's late August when they make that draw. But yeah, that's going to be a very crucial period. Those two games against Chelsea and City, that's kind of the one where I think we're really going to have to lay down our title credentials, because last season, the game away to Man City where we lost 5-0 was where any hope of Liverpool actually going for the title just completely imploded on the spot and went up in smoke. So I think if we can get good results in those, maybe 4 or even 6 points out of those two games, then you can certainly say, provided Liverpool get good results in their earlier games, that we are really, really pushing for the title. You've then got an international break. Then the games, again, just not too difficult. Huddersfield away, Cardiff City at home, Arsenal away, Fulham at home and Watford away in November. So pretty good there, nothing too congested. Obviously the Arsenal away is going to be interesting. I think that's another one where Liverpool are going to have to blow them away to try and secure their hopes of a Premier League title challenge. You've then got the December period, and that is of course where things get interesting. It isn't quite as hellish in terms of the sheer amount of fixtures that we've got around that time of year this time around, but in terms of the magnitude of fixtures, that is certainly there. You've got the Merseyside derby at home on the 1st of December, so Liverpool want a win in the bag there. I mean, it's annoyed me a little bit because I felt like we were a bit shortchanged with the Merseyside derbies last season, in that they both came at very difficult times for Liverpool, where we did have to rotate. I'd quite like a Merseyside derby in like a September or maybe a late April or even a May or something like that, where there's just a little bit more space between the games and Liverpool can actually put out their full strength side, because I think we can all say that on the day, if Liverpool put out their best team and aren't worried about the other fixtures in and around when we're playing Everton, then we can absolutely blow them away quite easily. So hopefully we'll have a lovely Merseyside derby there to kick off the December programme. You've then got the congestion coming in. Burnley away in midweek, it looks like, is going to be a difficult one, of course. Hopefully that their Europa League campaign's taken a bit of a toll on them by that point. Bournemouth away, and then Manchester United at home on December 15th. Now, there is a reasonable gap between the games around them, because there's a week after the Man U game before we play Wolves away from home, but there is a Champions League group stage game before the Man U one, and that's going to be an interesting one, because you've got to hope that Liverpool have got their qualification into the round of 16 boxed off by that point, preferably having topped the group as well, so we can call that last game of the group stage a dead rubber and simply focus on the Man U game. Remains to be seen whether that will happen, and obviously Man U at home, we'd quite like to see a much more entertaining game than we have over the last 2 seasons with the awful 0-0 draws that Mourinho has forced us into. Yep, then you got Wolves. I think Newcastle at home, everyone's in agreement. That's a really nice Boxing Day fixture. It's a decent game. Newcastle, Liverpool always tends to be decent. Rafa Benitez back at Anfield as well, but not too difficult a game for that Boxing Day fixture. And then another interesting one. You've got Arsenal at home on the 29th of December, and then Man City away on the 1st of January. That is going to be a tough one. Thankfully, there's not a 48-hour gap between the games this time. I think the Premier League has seen sense on that and put it as 72 hours. A little bit more helpful there, but that will be an incredibly interesting one. The thing to remember, of course, is that it's not only us who'll be playing that many fixtures. Man City will probably be just as tired as we are coming round to that. Maybe a little bit less so, because I don't think they have a game as difficult as Arsenal at home right before it. But, you know, that's what you got to do to win the Premier League. That's what you got to do to challenge at the top level. You're going to have difficult periods, and I think the best thing to note about this is that any difficult period Liverpool go through only really lasts a game or two. There's no like month from hell or even 2 months from hell. Any difficult batch is normally about 2 games, and then things ease up after that. And I mean, looking at this, straight after the Man City away game, you'll have an FA Cup tie in there as well, but then you've got Brighton away, Crystal Palace at home, Leicester at home, West Ham away, Bournemouth at home, and then Man United away. So there's a huge gap after that before things get difficult. That Man United away in February is probably going to be huge, because that is another opportunity for Liverpool to lay down a marker. Thinking back to our 2013-14 title challenge, I think it was around then, it might have been early March or something like that, that we went to Old Trafford, we beat Man U 3-0, and suddenly it changed from, yeah, we've probably got top 4 boxed off here, to we can actually go for a proper Premier League title charge here. So that's going to be huge. I think the interesting thing to note about this period is once you get out of 2018 and into the 2019 fixtures, Liverpool's top 6 fixtures are only once a month. You've got Man City in January, then you've got a huge gap until Man United away in February, then you've got Tottenham at home in March, Chelsea at home in April, and then no difficult fixtures in May. So that could help us hugely in the title running. It could also help us hugely in terms of a Champions League push should we get to the latter stages and be going towards the final. I mean, you're looking at the games that are going to be in and around those semi-final matches. Cardiff City, Huddersfield Town, Newcastle, Wolves. They're games that should be reasonably winnable. Obviously, Liverpool have trouble with those games in their Champions League run this season, but hopefully we look like we're going to bolster our squad this summer. We're going to have more depth, especially in those midfield areas, and hopefully the forward line as well, so that when it comes down to those games, we're not down to the bare bones of the squad, and we can rotate with ease and still be fairly confident that we're going to be able to fight on both fronts. So yeah, all in all, I think it is a really good fixture list. Just like I said, going through the January, you've then got the February with the Man U game. Then in March, Everton away, nice little Merseyside derby. Hopefully there's not too many games going on in and around there. Then Burnley at home, Fulham away, Tottenham Hotspur at home. All, you know, a fairly nice fixture list, all things considered. I think there's sort of the Tottenham and then the Chelsea, they come quite close to each other. There's only a Southampton away between them. But the fact that they're both at home should give us a little bit of boost. Hopefully the crowd will get us through that if things go a little bit awry. And then, like I said, it's Cardiff, Huddersfield, Newcastle and Wolves for the run-in. So yeah, I think it is a really good fixture list in terms of what you want to do domestically. It remains to be seen whether those aways before the Champions League ties could cause us problems. But I think if you're thinking about Liverpool going for the Premier League title, or at least establishing themselves as one of those teams at the very top of the Premier League pyramid, then that fixture list looks incredibly nice. And when you're looking at what the other teams have had, especially Arsenal, things could be a whole lot worse. So yeah, at the end of the day, it is just a list of teams in a pretty much randomised order. But I think we all get excited about it because you do kind of, you get to look ahead and you think, well, what am I going to be doing on December 15th when we play Man United at home? What's my life going to be like? Am I going to be at the game? Am I going to be watching it at home? Who am I going to be watching it with? It's just nice to look forward and speculate, and also to think, where are we going to be in the league at that point? Is that going to be a title decider? Is it going to be a top 4 decider? Will it be a dead rubber? Who really knows? It's just exciting because it effectively gets us thinking about the Premier League season, which, if I'm right in thinking, is only 59 days away now. And I mean, if you're going to be bored during those 59 days, there's a fairly big tournament going on in Russia in the meantime for you to enjoy. I mean, if you do want me to do content on the World Cup, by the way, let me know down in the comments. I'm planning to do some sort of Liverpool player watch where every week or every sort of match week or everything like that, I'll sort of go over how the Liverpool players have done in their games, because obviously it's always interesting to see how they're getting on. But if you want me to do more in-depth content about the World Cup, sort of going game by game or day by day or anything like that, let me know down in the comments below. I'm perfectly happy to do something like that because the World Cup is excellent. But yeah, excellent fixture list for Liverpool, all things considered. Very much excited to see the Premier League season get started. Let me know again how you're feeling about that in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it. Hit that subscribe button there if you're new around here. Check out some of the other videos that have been out on the channel over the past few days as well. Don't forget to follow at LFC Focus TV on Twitter for all the latest Liverpool transfer news. And I'll be back soon, hopefully, with a transfer update or some World Cup content. Bye for now.